Well, good morning, my loves. Hello, I'm Bripa doo 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 doo. Yes, cruising in to a frothy, sun-soaked, vibrant AF Tuesday morning, and I've got a live audience here today. My hair is, in fact, masking the wondrous queen goddess that she is. Miss Hannah is here. There she is. Love Hannah so much. She arrived on Sunday. Oh, and we've just been in the vortex together ever since. It's been such an incredible gift, and it feels like we've only just started to unwrap the bow. And there's just so much more to reveal in being in each other's company and energy and being connected in this way. And it's been really marvelous. So that's what's happening for me. I took a 3 day rest. As I said, I don't know, I've been going super gung ho. I love to re-dive in. That's something that in my cycles of life and energy and patterns, I see that in myself a lot. And I love that about myself. And it's like, okay. And I always kind of like foreshadow my own experiences. And like sometimes I'll say something in the morning and it'll then present later on and be like, see how that was like specifically targeted to you? Like it is my higher self a lot of the time speaking to me, and I'm able to internalize and like process the vibration of what I'm sharing here publicly with you. So it's a really kind of multifold gift, which we can all benefit from, which is really cool. So, yeah, rest is essential. I mean, thinking about when we're learning anything new, it takes up so much of our presence. And a lot of the time in our life, the way that we've structured it, the way that society has its systems in place, is that we're living kind of distracted and compliant and like going through the motions. But to actually be actively present and engaged, aware in your day to day life, that takes all of you. And it's such a beautiful exchange because you can receive, and experience the greatest rewards of what that present moment has to offer you as well. So it's like your willingness always will match. The universe will always match you. And sometimes it doubles down as well. And it's like, how about that? Give you a little curveball on top, or weren't expecting that. Okay, let's play. But yeah, it requires rest. So I did take that rest. And I will say, like, wow, there were times I'm like, oh, I'll just jump on a little later, wanting to fulfill my promise to myself primarily. But I was like, you know what? Rest is actually the greatest gift at this time. So I was able to do that. Um, Now, there's been, I mean, I'm kind of absolutely in love with December so far. It seems like, I mean, every month, of course, has a different energetic pattern, and there's different happenings planetarily and beyond and whatnot. And also, numerology speaking, we ourselves are preparing to turn the page into our next numbered vibration. So, like, there's a real kind of transition that happens. Also, that pretty intense eclipse that we had in November, that was in Scorpio, or Taurus, but in Scorpio, it made itself known, right? So it really shakes some things up, and we're still receiving little morsels and fragments and pieces of that, and taking the pieces so that we're moving into the next chapter like fully prepared with all of the lessons, right? Why leave lessons behind? We're just going to have to revisit them again. So there's this neat little topic that I want to cover here with you, and how we're not able to rely on the feeling of readiness, because it is a feeling and we can't always trust our feelings. Feelings are fleeting and their job is to shift. So they come up, they react, they respond, and they're not anything of like substance, and they are more just They're more air element, I would say. So like we pay, I hear it. I mean, I even myself, like we might not always feel ready, and that's the thing that when we come across resistance, which is obviously inevitable anytime that we're, stepping up, stepping in, and pursuing what it is that we're here to genuinely do. And, it's like, well, I'm not ready. And it's like, okay, let's like not rely on that readiness, and let's actually feel into the true lived experience of being prepared instead. Because anything forward from that, it's like, well, I mean, I'm going to learn a bunch of new shit along the way, obviously. But every step I've taken in my life, every experience I've had, every relationship I've been in, every environment, I've spent time in, literally, all of my relations, all of my rapport, all of my rebellious rousings have led me to this moment. And fuck yeah, I am prepared, actually. So you really want to like be a detective and a lawyer about this kind of shit and get all the reasons, all the juicy, gritty proof that you are in fact prepared, even if you don't feel ready, So my message around this here is to place emphasis and importance on truth of being prepared versus a feeling, potentially fleeting and flimsy, of being ready and knowing the difference. How about that, Hannah? Where are you, Hannah? You support that?
Yes.
Okay. Lit.
You don't have to feel ready.
You don't have to feel ready. Hannah and I took an inspirational deep dive on YouTube last night. And, we were letting ourselves fully feel it. And we tapped into some musical artists and some teachers, all sorts, some of our favorite folks together. And we were really like piecing together what the essence of someone who really commits their entire life to their craft and like what the commonalities between those people are. And it's not necessarily in the details of their humanness, but it's in the essence of their soulfulness more so, and that they've, committed and gone all in, and allowed their genius to reign. And that can be all consuming, that can be isolating, that can be, a ton of work and effort that you're not ever certain of it paying off or not in the lifetime, but that they're taking micro moments every day that shapes the entirety of who they are and who they're continuously becoming. And it's just so absolutely amazing to be. And of course, we're not talking about physical presence. You may not ever meet, or they might not even be living, these people that you look up to and that you've learned from, or that you're totally inspired by, whether musical or otherwise. And it's like their power remains. You can experience it through a screen. You can feel them when you're walking on the street, when you see something that reminds you, like they're in everything. And why are they in everything for you when they've made an impact on your heart? It's the way that you feel. It's this pure openness of authenticity that is incredibly contagious. And we feel that. We can't deny that. We might not be able to name that, but what it is just so true. And it lets us know that it's possible for us as well. And it may not have anything to do with what it is that their industry is, or what their craft is, or what their expertise is. We might not aspire to be more like them, but we're inspired to become more like ourselves. And I think that, allowing ourselves to say, what, whatever we're choosing, we're also choosing our problems. We're also choosing our challenges. We're choosing, what we're allowing, what we have space for, what we're creating time for, what we're carving we have all those decisions. And it's like there's no point of trying to measure this and that. Oh, they could get it because they had this or that. It's like, no, look at like what is true for you, and what is it that you're actively spending on energy every single day to avoid, dismiss, push away, dim down the thing and the reason that you're here. Because that takes so much energy to do. To know that you're living a life that isn't in alignment with what you arrived here for. But they're doing it, and you see that in them, and that's why you want to get as close to them as possible. And it's like, wouldn't the greatest gift of all is wanting to be as close to you as possible? To be just so in awe and inspired by your own way of being in the world, and because you're allowing yourself to be incredibly fulfilled and expressing from like the most genuine place, that you have created and cultivated a contentment that it just oozes from you. And then other people are impacted by that, and they're inspired to be more like them. That's the kind of moves, just fab. So yeah, we did that. That was always amazing, and gives us cause for pause or whatever. Want to have a little look-see. It's like, in what ways can we take one step closer to the thing that we want to be doing more of every single day? And how can we stay there? How can we create a life for ourselves where we're not having to exit or return to and then do a bunch of shit and then come back to the life that we actually want to, deserve to, and ought to be living every single day? Questions. What have we got here? Oh yeah, I said here, I have a bit of a knack for seeking or seeing and finding like talent before people like blow up and glow up, and it's always mistake. What do you want to do? Just having a little knock at the door. Sit down. Love you. And never, ever, ever, ever have, when people have gotten like discovered, whatever the heck that means, earlier on, did that mean that they were ever less talented or never less like fully capable? Like, they had it the whole time, and that they kept the key was them being consistent at that, and that they were choosing to grow and go all in so that they could glow all the way up, And it's like, that's all good if other people take note of that, and then all of a sudden you go from, like, I'm talking about Fred again, whom I'm absolutely obsessed and in love with, and I'm like, oh, I was one of the first that found Fred again, you know what I mean? And like, until last year, he had never played a live show. So going from creating music, he had been dedicated to music his entire life. And then, oh, what happens? Look, a little virality. Oh, a little like, oh, we're catching wave of this. And it doesn't change the way that he's always been on a day-to-day. Like, so we need to be doing what we're doing for ourselves. We need to be satiated and fulfilled from the inside out. Some switch is not going to flip if we like suddenly get discovered for this one thing that we created. No, chances are we've got a body of work. We've been like, oh yeah, that's literally what I do every single day. It's a bonus that you've taken notice, but it's not the reason that we're pursuing what it is to be an open channel and allow like that godliness to flow through us. That was always happening. It's now about it, and so when I see that potentiality in people and I notice it, it's like it's never anyone's like responsibility to decide what's going to happen next there. Like, I can see your full potential and we've all got it. It's like, well, okay, do you want to make a life of that potential or do you want to just do something else? Like, that's totally on that individual, right? Because we've all got something miraculous, incredible. Why else are we here? I don't know, you know? So, like, discover yourself first. Don't wait to be discovered by anyone else because that's not going to hold any more weight. You're not going to feel all of a sudden the brightness that is beaming from the inside of your heart. If you don't already know that, if you're not loving, cherishing, and exercising that and expressing that every single day, if someone goes, oh, you've got a bright light on inside of you, and you don't know that, you're going to go, what are you talking about? You know, so like, where's the, it's gotta be deeply ingrained and nourished within yourself because no one else giving you a empty compliment. It's going to feel empty. I mean, they might be seeing something very genuine, but it's like, it doesn't matter because if it's not a felt sense within you, then it's not going to land. You need to know that yourself. Right? Okay. Yeah. And I think, you know, the common, like the last, like common little thread between these folks that I just think, you know, are incredibly prolific and world renowned and are making the kind of impact in the world that I aspire to make, is that they're consistent. They're showing up all the time, like all the time, like all the time. They're not like, oh, resistance got me and it took me out for 6 months. They're like working and being with the resistance and dancing with it every single day. They're like, yeah, that's a part of it. Okay. You know? So dive in. Yep. Be with yourself, recognize and celebrate yourself every single day. Give yourself the space to create what it is that you actually want to create. And ensure that to the top of your priority list is meeting with yourself and your infinite potential every single morning. And knowing that to be true and expressing from there. And not having any external expectation beyond that. But being so deeply fulfilled by what it is because of what, you know, that creativity does with inside of your brain and your body and how it just, you're like, I don't need this to become anything. I just am this because I'm allowing myself to be. That's a wrap. Love you, my loves. See you tomorrow.